It's a quest. It's a quest for fun.
Well, The Rock says, why don't we just cut right to the chase?
Okay, now he wants to get together. Well, he wants to talk.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me.
It's showtime, folks!
What are you?
If it bleeds, we can kill it. Greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome to a very special presentation we have here for you at Nerd Culture. My name is Ryan. I'm going to be your host for tonight, but I am not alone in this. We are going to be discussing some great fictional characters we would want to see go up against the Predator. Yes, the Predator from the Predator movies. One of them starred Arnold Schwarzenegger. The sequels starred Danny Glover, Adrian Brody, and who knows who else showed up for that fourth movie, because I have yet to see it, so I cannot comment nor speculate on the Predator, but I have seen the first three. But joining us tonight is a comic book writer, artist extraordinaire. He's got a new Kickstarter that's out. It just started this week. We're going to talk a little bit more about that towards the end of the show, but he is the one and only Grant Langford is here. Grant, how are you, good sir?
Hey, Ryan. How you doing?
Doing well. Thank you so much for being with us. We do appreciate it. And also, if any of you out there who are watching us live, or if you're watching the replay, if you have any thoughts or comments about who you think should go up against the Predator next, whether it be in a movie, a series, a comic, whatever, just any kind of media, drop it in the comments section. We're going to get to your comments throughout the course of tonight. So please keep that in mind as we go along. So to kick things off, Predator versus Grant, who's the first character you would want to see go up against the Predator?
The first guy, and I kind of can't believe that this doesn't exist already, is Predator versus Rambo.
Oh, Sly Stallone. Okay, all right. And tell us why you would want to see Rambo go up against Predator.
I mean, he's an honor medal winner. They're both great at making traps. I love a great trap making montage. Did you see the last Rambo movie?
Unfortunately, I have yet to see Rambo Last Blood. I have seen First Blood and Rambo 4, but I have not seen 2, 3, or 5. Sorry.
I would say, fortunately, you haven't seen the new Rambo. I was completely bored through it until at the very end, there's a trap making montage, which is one of my, I don't know why that is, but every movie I love watching people setting traps and watching them go off. It's so much fun.
Yeah, definitely. That's an interesting matchup. Rambo versus Predator. That'd be really cool. I like to see that in live action form. You know, Stallone may be up there in age, but he can still do it.
Yeah, I would maybe like to see it when Sly was a little bit younger. So you kind of alluded to it in the introduction. So how many of what is your experience with the Predator movies? Have you seen some of them?
Yeah, I actually own the Predator. I mean, before the new one came out a few years back, directed by Shane Black, I have the Predator trilogy. So I do have Predator, Predator 2, and Predators on Blu-ray as one set. I've watched all three of them. Predators, I remember seeing in the movie theater when it came out back, I think in 2010. And
I think that movie's kind of underrated. What do you think?
Yeah, personally, I walked out of the theater, I'm thinking, you know what? I mean, as much as they teased in the trailer, and this is something that didn't actually come true within the final cut of the film, but in the trailer, they teased that there were all these Predators surrounding Adrian Brody, and unfortunately, that never came to pass. There was only like 3 of them, and then we all thought there was like 20 or 30 of them. But at the same time, I still like Predators for what it was. The evolution of the Predators and how they've evolved. Some of them are changed. Some of them have different forms. Others have like sharper teeth or bigger jaw lines. Like it's and the masks and the armor that they put on themselves. Like I liked all 3 movies, honestly. I liked them for different reasons, of course, but I liked Predators. I didn't have a problem with it.
Yeah, and I was really excited. You alluded to the Shane Black movie. I was really excited for that until the reviews started coming out, and even people who liked it, even non-critics, people who like the original movies, just said it was the worst thing ever. So I was like, which I don't know. I mean, Shane Black is the guy who wrote the original one. I don't understand how he could screw it up that badly, but I guess he did.
Yeah, that's some things work, some things don't. It's just the way that it is. But
yeah, I mean, I can't comment on it because I didn't see it either. But
yeah, I haven't seen the new one. But as far as who I would want to see the Predator go up against, I've been thinking about this a little bit throughout the course of this week, throughout the course of this day. I should say, if I'm going to see the Predator go up against somebody, and this is because the new trailer dropped this week, and I'm so excited for this movie to come out on April 16th on HBO Max and in theaters everywhere. Mortal Kombat, some of those characters, I'd want to see Predator go up. And now, granted, some of these characters have supernatural powers, so that's kind of like, maybe an unfair advantage, may not be so much of a fair fight. But I want to see Predator go up against Sonya Blade. I want to see that happen. Let's see what Sonya Blade can do, because Sonya Blade doesn't have really any supernatural powers. She's just an ordinary badass, female warrior. Which, don't get me wrong, I'm all for it, but I'd like to see her go up against Predator. They
could actually add the Predator to the video game pretty easily. Because doesn't the latest Mortal Kombat have like a bunch of non-Mortal Kombat characters in it, like RoboCop and guys like that?
Yeah, that's true. Yes. So yeah, that could be a possibility.
They could do that as a comic book or as a video game.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, that's very true. That's very true. Yeah, but I would love to see what Sonya Blade could do up against Predator. No, just a quick side note: have you seen the new trailer that dropped this week for Mortal Kombat, the new film?
I haven't. Is it cool?
Oh yeah, it's very cool. The new visual effects, the new pieces of the mythology, and these. Granted, this is a whole new Mortal Kombat. This has nothing to do with the original films or the original web series that was online some years ago.
Right.
It's more borrowing elements from the more recent installments of the video game. Someone brought up Mortal Kombat 10 and 11. Some of those elements are going to be put in this film, as well as the animated movie that came out not too long ago, Scorpion's Revenge, is going to be put into play in this movie. And I'm thinking, whoa, that's going to be extreme. And yes, this movie is R-rated, and yes, you are going to see a number of fatalities in this new Mortal Kombat on April 16th.
So I know you're a lot younger than me. Did you ever see the original Mortal Kombat movie?
I grew up on it.
Okay.
I grew up on it. Yes, absolutely. The 90s were great. I grew up on all of it. I watched the original film. I remember going to the movie theaters and seeing Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Yes, I know it has a lot of haters out there, and I get it. I'm fine with it, but it still holds a bit of a place in my heart. It's nowhere near. It doesn't hold a candle to the first one. The first one is the best, but there's a few things in the second one that I like. I mean, I don't love the movie like I do the first one, but yeah, I grew up on the first film. We had an anniversary watch along last year for the 20th anniversary of the original Mortal Kombat film. We had Mick Strawn, who was one of the production designers on that as a guest with us. We had Master Pacina on with us, who was one of the co-creators of the game, or one of the co-creators of the characters featured within the game, and had a hand in training all the fighters and doing the choreography for the game.
Right. Yeah, because they really mapped out the fight moves and stuff before they animated it.
Yeah, and it was great. It was great to have those guys on. It was a great time, which you can find on our YouTube channel when you like, comment, and subscribe to Nerd Culture. Anyway, there's your first plug of the night. So, as far as other characters we want to see Predator go up against, who would be next on your list?
So this one's a little bit more out of the box, and I'm curious what you would say, what you'll have to say about this. How about if the Predator went up against John Wick?
Oh man, I was thinking about that. And I thought, I love John Wick. I don't think Predator can handle John Wick. I think Predator wouldn't last 2 minutes with John Wick, personally.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah, because John Wick is just too good.
I think a lot of it would depend on where the fight took place. If it took place in the Predator's habitat, which is more of the jungle, which I can't picture John Wick venturing out into the jungle. But the Predator does sometimes go into the city, as we saw in Predator 2.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, if he was going up against the Predator, I think a lot of it would depend on if John Wick knew he was coming or not.
Yeah, that's true.
If it was a fair fight.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You seem more confident to me that John Wick would win.
I mean, 3 movies. He's killed people with what? Pencils, books, with pens. I mean, John Wick nothing can really phase the guy. To me, the guy is almost we've seen him bleed. We've seen him get injured in those 3 films, but at the same time, he gets up and pretends like nothing ever happened. So it's almost like he has a healing factor. He doesn't, though. I'm just saying it reminds me of, he has a fast healing factor like Wolverine or something, and that's just crazy. But yeah, John Wick, I think he would mop the floor with the Predator personally. But then again, Who knows? If he's in a jungle, could be a completely different story because we have not seen John Wick fight off enemies in a jungle yet. We may see that in John Wick Chapter 4, but who knows?
I think it's also going to depend, like, how much technology the Predator has. Like, does he have all his guns? Does he have his bombs? All of that stuff. Or are they just going mano a mano, like at the end of the first Predator, where, it's Arnold versus the Predator?
Mm-hmm.
You remember, like, when, like, the Predator took off all of his armor and he put down his guns and stuff, and they just fought hand to hand. In that case, I think I would have to give it to John Wick. Now, all the technology and stuff, I don't know. I don't know if John Wick can fight all the lasers and the crazy crap that the Predator has.
Maybe so. Maybe so. Maybe so. It would be a heck of. I gotta tell you, if that fight was happening tomorrow, I would certainly pay money to see it.
You'd call off work to see that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's pay-per-view right there. I mean, John Wick versus the Predator. Come on. If that movie hit theaters, if the Earth was reopened and we didn't have this pandemic situation, I would be there opening weekend to see it.
Right. I'm kind of surprised that nobody's ever bothered to make any of these movies.
Yeah, that's a fair point, especially, with so many great content creators out there and people who appreciate these characters for what they are, and people making fan films up the yin yang. I wouldn't mind seeing someone put together a fan film of John Wick versus Predator. It would be great. He's wearing one of those slick looking suits, and he's just battling him out in the city somewhere, or maybe he actually puts on, some camouflage stuff or some different kind of gear to go into the jungle and venture out and fight the Predator. Who knows?
Right. So who's your next guy?
For me, aside from, one of the earlier ones I brought up was Sonya Blade versus Predator, just because that Mortal Kombat trailer was so freaking good. As far as the next character I'd want to see battle the Predator, I would probably, I don't know if this character would last too long because, once again, he has a certain skill set. I just don't know if he'd be able to handle it. Han Solo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Harrison Ford, not the Alden Ehrenreich film that never should have been made and didn't really happen
right.
a couple years ago. Solo, a Star Wars story, no thank you. Right. But I mean, nothing against Alden Ehrenreich. He's a good young up and coming actor, but for that movie just never should have happened. Period. But if we're talking old school Han Solo from 1977 or even 1980, because he learned a few skills in Empire Strikes Back. So, granted, at the end he's get frozen in carbonite, but before he gets thrown into the carbonite, yeah, I'd like to see Han Solo. I'd like to see how long he would last against the Predator. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I definitely think the Predator would win. Part of it, again, might depend on the situation. Like, if it was like a dogfight, like in outer space between two spaceships, I think Han Solo would probably win. We've never seen that in a Predator movie, have we?
Oh,
we've never seen a Predator, like, in his spaceship, like, fighting another spaceship like that.
Yeah, that's actually a good point, because every time we see a Predator in a ship, they're landing or they crash land.
Right.
Which they kind of did. I don't think they did it in the first one, but I know they did it in Alien vs. Predator Requiem. The spin-off movies.
How do you feel about those movies?
I haven't seen them in a hot minute, so I'd have to rewatch them and see how I feel about them now, because it's been a while. But I remember watching both of them. I thought they were I didn't think they were terrible. What I'm trying to say here, they're not terrible. They're just They're fine, but they're not, like, exciting. They don't get me up in the morning. But then again, it's been a hot minute since I've seen them. I wouldn't mind sitting down and rewatching those, especially considering we're not going to get another Alien or Predator film for a very, very long time, if at any point, because with Disney buying Fox, I don't see them going out of their way to make another Predator or Alien movie, considering how many mistakes have been made with some of the more recent installments, and also people's appetite is just not there anymore.
I think you're right.
So,
I mean, I kind of feel like the appetite is out there. It's just that people want to see good Alien or Predator movies.
It's true.
I think if either the last Alien or the last Predator movie had been good, people would have gone to see it. But
Yeah, didn't work out too well. Can't comment on Shane Black's The Predator, but I did see Alien Covenant in the theaters, and I walked out thinking that was such a disappointment. That basically to me, Alien Covenant was just a rehashing of the first Alien. I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want that. Give me move the story forward, move the mythology forward, and they just went 5 steps backwards. I'm thinking, why would you do that? Why? You had a good setup in Prometheus, and you could have had a good payoff in its respective sequel, but did you? No.
Yeah.
No.
So
And I liked Prometheus, but Alien Covenant was hot garbage.
right. So you brought up something that I wanted to talk about, which is
Sure.
the fact that Disney has now bought Sony, which means
You mean Fox?
meet Fox, right? I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
So who do you think? I mean, they're obviously going to make a million comic books. I saw that they had Thor versus Aliens, which seems like a pretty weird combination to me. I mean, I can almost guarantee, if they haven't done it already, I can almost guarantee that they're going to do Predator versus Wolverine.
Well, I mean, not part of canon or not part of a major motion picture studio, but Bat in the Sun put together a fan film of Wolverine going up against the Predator, which I believe I shared that with you earlier today, and then I posted it on my feeds. It's from Bat in the Sun. They did a really good job with that. Bat in the Sun, when they do superpower beatdowns, where they basically just take 2 characters and have them battle it out, it's pretty good stuff. And pretty much almost every episode of that series, when it was going, I enjoyed. I mean, heck, they had the White Ranger go up against Scorpion.
Right.
That's 2 90s, like very heavy 90s properties battling it out, and it was a fun video to watch. It was great. And then they had other videos. They had something where it was Batman versus Darth Vader.
Right.
Which is insane. It's like, who would have thought that we would see these characters duke it out on screen? And Bat in the Sun, they did it, and they did it well, at least in my opinion.
I got to say, like, fan fiction, like fan movies have gotten so much better from when I was a kid. I mean, when I was a kid, when you would see fan fiction, first of all, you had to pay like $20 for a VHS tape that was like only like 15 or 20 minutes long. And then it usually looked like somebody just held a handheld camera. But now, I mean, there's not even that big of a difference between like the stuff that the fans are doing and like the major studios are doing.
Yeah.
Hi, Willow, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Willow is here. Thank you, Willow, for being with us. Any of you out there, if you're watching this and you want to see a character go up against the Predator, drop your thoughts and, theories about it in the comments. We'd love to hear about it. We'll get to those comments a little bit later on. So thank you all for tuning in. Do appreciate it. Yeah, those films from Bat in the Sun or other, fan films or other fans that have put together films over the years have been really good. As far as Predator versus who we would want to see go up against next, I believe I stated Han Solo. Who would be next on your list?
So kind of related to your one, the guy on my list is Boba Fett.
Ooh, yeah. But let me ask you this, though. Are we talking Boba Fett from The Empire Strikes Back, or are we talking Boba Fett who kicked some serious behind in the most recent season of The Mandalorian?
Right. How did he get out of... Did they explain how he got out of the Sarlacc pit? I can't remember.
Well, within The Mandalorian, they didn't, but there is a comic out there that is... I believe it is part of canon that does explain how he escaped from the Sarlacc pit and he got out.
So now that's a question, like, could Boba Fett beat the Predator? And another question is, do you think the Mandalorian could?
Ooh. I think it would be a great fight. I think it would, to me, whether it's Boba Fett versus Predator or Mandalorian goes up against Predator, to me, it's an even matchup. It could go either way. I'd have to give a slight edge to Boba Fett in that one contest, and on the other one, between Mando and Predator, I think Mando could slightly edge him out, but then again, it could be a draw. It could be either one. I mean, I would watch that tomorrow if that dropped. That is something I would love to see, whether it's Boba Fett or Mando go up against Predator.
Well, since Disney now owns Predator and Star Wars, that they could actually make this comic book.
That is very true, and I would not mind reading that and purchasing that at my local comic book store. # support local comic shops. It's very true. But yes, I would that would be great. Oh man, Tamora Morrison putting on that armor and going up against Predator. Whoo!
I mean, I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of these comic books just because, like I said, now Disney owns them.
And I'm sure they got, ideas for where they want to take certain characters and certain properties in the future, when they came, whether they're from Fox originally or not.
Right.
So we'll see where the chips fall where they may. Those are some great suggestions, though. Man, Boba Fett and Mando, this is the way. Ooh, that's good stuff. That would definitely sell some tickets. I would buy a ticket. As far as who I potentially would want to see the Predator go up against next, I've done some characters that have more, just regular human Earth-based elements. Let's think for a minute. If I had to pick someone who has a set of abilities on them, let's see, who can I go with? Since I like a lot of fictional characters from a lot of different properties. Let's be honest, but one of my favorites is DC. Right. So if I had to pick a DC character to go up against the Predator, you know what? I think she can hold her own against Predator. I'm going with the Huntress.
Oh, okay.
I'm going with the Huntress. Yeah. What's her name? I can't remember her character name, but the Huntress came from a family where her father was part of the mob. Was a mob boss.
Interesting backstory.
Was it Valerie or Veronica Bertinelli, something like that?
Right.
I can't remember her exact name, but it began with the letter V. If anyone knows, drop it in the comments. But I would like to see the Huntress go up against Predator. What do you think about that character?
I mean, that's a great character. I think I would have to go with the Predator in that case, but I think it would be a close fight.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, granted, I said I was going to pick someone who has superpowers, and I went with Huntress, and she doesn't have any superpowers.
Yeah, she doesn't.
I'm thinking of too many other characters who are almost like vigilante types.
Right.
Maybe it's because I've grown up on more DC characters than Marvel. Nothing against Marvel. I like DC and Marvel for different reasons, but...
So you're a DC guy, too?
That's why Superman is my favorite.
Okay, Superman's my favorite, too.
Superman's my number one. You dropped that on the show today earlier with Brian K. Morris. You showed off your Superman collection, from rings to wallets to coffee mugs to everything in between. And I'm thinking, I like this guy, Grant. I like him a lot. Why? Because Super Loop is number one. At least
Superman is my favorite, too.
At least in my opinion. I know other people think otherwise, and that's fine. If you like more characters or you like a different character as your number one, celebrate that. Celebrate it. I don't care. If your favorite character is Batman, there's nothing wrong with that. If your favorite character is Cyclops, or if it's Cable, or if it's Deadpool, fine by me. As long as you like a character and you celebrate that character, have at it. Let's see here. Willow brings up something in the chat. Let's bring this up here, Willow. She says, how do we feel about Lara Croft, the Tomb Raider, going up against the Predator?
So, like you were saying earlier, it's been years and years since I've played those video games. I remember her being more about like puzzle solving than being really physical.
Sure.
I don't know how good her fighting skills are. I think she could probably beat the Predator, like if the challenge was like solving a puzzle. But I don't know if it was head-to-head fighting. I don't think she would stand too long against the Predator.
Well, I remember playing the Tomb Raider rebooted video game that came out some years ago on my Xbox 360. I don't think it was called. It was simply called Tomb Raider. Because I think the sequel was called Rise of the Tomb Raider. So Tomb Raider from 2015, 2016. If I'm wrong about the exact date, let me know in the comment section below. I remember playing that game and how really good it was. Granted, it was more of an origin story, so it's about how Lara came to be the fighter that we all know her to be. And I remember growing up on the Angelina Jolie franchise.
Right.
So I've seen the Tomb Raider movies as well as the rebooted film with Alicia Vikander that came out a few years ago, which I thought the reboot was all right. I think it could have been a lot better. It was, right. But I thought it had potential. At the end of the movie, I thought to myself, you know what? This wasn't great. It could have been much better, but they left the door open for a sequel, as it should, and it has potential to grow. And I know that they are currently in the process of working on the sequel to Alicia Vikander's film. Alicia is coming back for the sequel. They found a new director for the film. I can't remember the person's name offhand. I apologize. But they are in the process of filming that movie right now. I think they started filming and they had to delay because of COVID, and I think they're slowly but surely starting to get back into shooting.
So something I was thinking about was, and I just realized this, this is the first woman that we've mentioned. I think in like the first movie, the Predator is kind of sexist in that he doesn't like fighting women.
Oh, okay.
So maybe she could use that to her advantage too.
Yeah, Predator can underestimate her.
Right.
And then that would come to bite him back in the, the behind. That could come back to bite him.
And
Yeah.
I think that did change later in the series, because I think Michelle Rodriguez was in Alien versus Predator?
No, she was in Resident Evil.
Okay. It was
but Alien versus Predator, the female lead was Sana Lathan, who was in Blade, the original Blade movie.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. With Wesley Snipes.
So I guess it would also depend on what era of Predator we're talking about.
Sure.
I think as the movies went on, they got a little bit more progressive, and they got more progressive in that the Predator can kill women too. I guess that's progressive. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there was a female lead character in the third Predator movie, Predators, with Alice Braga. She was the female lead in that film, and she held her own towards the end there. She did get injured in that film, so she couldn't really fight the Predator at the final battle sequence, but Adrian Brody took care of that.
You know what? I need to rewatch that movie because I haven't seen that since it was in theaters.
Which was over 10 years ago.
Wow, is that crazy?
Came out 2010, so it's 11. This year it'll be 11 years young. 11 years young.
I remember walking out of the movie theater thinking, "Hey, that was pretty good." So, and I remember going into it thinking, is Adrian Brody going to be able to do action scenes? He's kind of a wimpy guy, but then he buffed up for it. So.
Oh yeah. Yep. All the actors and actresses and the stunt guys went through a training course and a regimen to get themselves in great physical condition to portray these characters in that film. So yeah, that's very true. But as far as Lara Croft, that'd be interesting to see. If it's Angelina Jolie's Lara Croft, that'd be a good fight. Alicia Vikander, I don't think she would stand too much of a chance just because that movie is a reboot, so it's an origin story for her. So she's still relatively young. She hasn't really developed her full skill set as of yet, but hopefully she would do that in Tomb Raider 2, which I'm not sure the exact release date because everything's been pushed back due to the situation with COVID-19. But I look forward to seeing the sequel with Alicia Vikander. I think she did a good job in the first one, and who knows, maybe the sequel, I'm hoping the sequel is better than the first one, but we shall see. Only time is going to tell.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times now the sequel is better than the original movie. Just because, the first movie, they do all the setting up for the sequel. I mean, that certainly wasn't the way it was when I was a kid, but I think that the sequels are getting better and better now.
Yeah. For sure. Some sequels are definitely better than their predecessors. Maybe the originals are better than the sequels. It depends on which franchise, which character, which property you're specifically diving into. But as far as who we would want to see the Predator go up against next, do you have someone on your list you want to bring up?
So I don't know how you're going to feel about this one, but I was thinking, we don't know how long Predators have been around. And there's no reason why necessarily we have to pick somebody from this time period. So I picked a guy who lived thousands of years ago. I picked Conan the Barbarian.
All right.
What do you think?
That would be another interesting fight. I can't fully comment or speculate on Conan's abilities because I have not seen the original Arnold movies. I only remember seeing the remake with, I like Jason Momoa. He's great, but the remake I thought it was fine, but it didn't wow me as much as I wanted it to. And a lot of people hated it, and I understand why. But yeah, I can't comment on the original Conan skill set. But as far as Jason Momoa, even though that Conan the Barbarian was an origin story, Jason Momoa is a jacked up dude. So whether it's Arnold's Conan the Barbarian or Jason Momoa, despite how you may feel about its, the story and the film itself, I'd like to see Conan the Barbarian go up against Predator. That would be fascinating. Once again, it's kind of a battle of the 80s properties.
Well, and the other thing about this is that this is a storyline that can happen because I don't know that Marvel owns Conan, but they own the rights to produce Conan. So this is a comic book that could happen, theoretically.
Interesting. But yeah, I would be happy to see Conan the Barbarian go up against Predator. That would be another interesting matchup. The question is Arnold going to come in there and say, "Crom, if you do not listen, then the heck with you." It's like he's telling him like, "I need this and I need that." And it's just, and then what's her name? Olivia Dabo, I think, was either in the first or the second one. She's like, Do you enjoy it? What is it? I suppose nothing hurts you, only pain. It's like what? Like what?
Those movies are fun though.
I haven't seen them yet, so I need to watch these Conan movies because I haven't seen the originals.
You know what? Maybe I'll check that out after I sign off here. Watch it again.
Hey, it's a great night for a movie night because most of the country is buried in snow.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, I mean, at least in my area, we're not completely buried in snow like some other areas are, but the snowstorms around the U.S. of A. have been just dire and terrible. And I hope that everyone out there who is going through these snowstorms, please try to stay safe and try to stay warm as best you can. Because winter is just, it's horrible.
Well, the thing that really stinks about this winter is that it's even cold in areas that usually don't get snow.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of these places aren't prepared to be having as much snow as they're having. So, yeah.
Case in point, the Lone Star State of Texas is buried in snow that they've either never seen before, or these are some of the coldest temperatures that have been around for over 30 years. And there are lots of people down there who are still without power. So to those of you who are out there and still struggling with that, please try to stay safe, and we wish you well. That's all that's our wish for you. So
Willow's probably thinking, man, you guys have never seen real snow.
No, we've never seen real snow because Willow lives up in the Great White North of Canada. They know all about what winter is. They know what cold temperatures are like. They know how blank can freeze over 10 times. So yes, Canada is very experienced in something known as winter.
Right.
I think most of the year may feel like winter up in Canada. I can't remember exactly because the last time I was in Canada was so many years ago, and I was up in Toronto at that time.
I've only ever been to Canada during the summertime, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think we were there around the summertime too, and we were there for to see the Sky Dome, where the Blue Jays play ball. So there you go.
We went up to like central Canada, even like in August. It sometimes got down to like 55 degrees. Like there were a couple mornings where we woke up and it was like 55 degrees outside, and we were like, Jesus Christ, this is cold.
You were like, oh my goodness. Yeah, it's something else when you go on certain trips to certain areas. That is for sure. As far as the next character I'd want to see potentially go up against the Predator, I'd probably go. I got to flip things over here for a minute. Let's go with a Marvel character. You know what? Let's go for it. Scott Summers. Okay. Cyclops. Let's go with Cyclops. Energy blast, huh? Here's one from a pro, and that's from the first episode of the animated series, Night of the Sentinels, baby.
Right, and like we keep saying, now that Disney owns Fox,
X-Men,
and they own the X-Men, these matchups could actually potentially happen.
And if they do come to fruition, they put these characters in a live-action movie together, do a massive mashup of aliens and Predators and X-Men. Oh my! I would be interested to see that. So
is Cyclops one of your favorite X-Men?
I would say, yeah, but he's on like the lower tier of my list. I like him and everything, but some of my favorite X-Men, because a lot of us and a lot of our viewers out there, and you may have done this too. We grew up on the animated series of 1992 on Fox Kids. X-Men animated series, and I remember growing up on the Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman movies because a lot of people grew up on those, respectively.
Right.
And James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender came in and rebooted the franchise very successfully for 2 of the 4 films that came out of their franchise. Should have been 2.
I like those movies too.
Yeah, should have been 2 and not 4, but hey, to each their own. But Cyclops, he's one of my favorite X-Men. He's probably not in the top 5, but he's probably in the top 15 somewhere, top 10 maybe.
Okay, top 15. Okay.
Yeah, I have. The other thing I need to do is I need to read more X-Men comics because the only X-Men comics I've read are adaptations of the animated series, and then I read the Avengers versus X-Men comic or graphic novel, and then I read House of M. That's a really good X-Men storyline. Speaking of Wanda, the TV series that's blowing up the internet right now, WandaVision.
Are you caught up on it?
Unfortunately, no. I haven't seen one piece of WandaVision. All I've seen from WandaVision is the trailer, and that is it. I haven't seen the show yet, but I've heard great things about it.
Yeah, I watched 2 episodes, and it's nothing personal against it. I enjoyed the 2 episodes I watched, but I just haven't had the time, Mm-hmm. Things have been just too crazy with, the whole Kickstarter thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. And, I just, to be honest with you, for, again, a quick side note, we're sorry to get a little bit off track here, folks, but as far as WandaVision, it just the marketing never really wowed me. It didn't tell me, the marketing didn't hit me so much as to say, you need to watch this show. It's going to be great. I thought, it looks too weird, too confusing. I don't think I want to follow that. And Wanda's just, I like Wanda. I like the character when she's in MCU movies, but at the same time, I'm thinking, I'll just wait for her next movie appearance. I mean, because eventually, which I think they're leading towards, is she's going to create the mutant gene that's going to be the genesis of the X-Men. And if they're going to do that, that's fine, because it's somewhat related to the House of M comic book that I remember reading. And that's fine, because House of M is a great storyline. It's great. It's fantastic. So, but yeah, WandaVision, it's just not on my radar.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of spoilers for it. Like, I know people are saying that they think Mr. Fantastic might be a character in the TV show.
Yeah, they do have plans for a Fantastic Four movie to come out later down the line within the MCU. Kevin Feige and his company have already announced that.
They keep trying the Fantastic Four, don't they?
Yeah, but I think in this case, now that the MCU owns the rights to their characters that were previously a part of 20th Century Fox, the fans and audiences and moviegoers around the world have more confidence now that this is going to be a successful Fantastic Four movie, because they've been let down so many times. But in Kevin Feige's leadership and the executives he works with at Marvel Studios, I think Fantastic Four are going to be just fine. Now, when the movie comes out, I will see it, and hopefully it'll be good. If it's bad, I wouldn't be surprised. But then again, it's MCU, and sometimes they make good movies, other times not so good ones. But no matter what, you're going to get a somewhat decent movie in between. So we'll see how the MCU treats the Fantastic Four.
I think they've got a pretty unbelievable track record. I mean, I don't think they've done one movie that was a disaster.
I wouldn't say. I do. I mean, I kind of somewhat beg to differ, but then again, I keep getting a little bit sidetracked, and I apologize. But as far as Predator versus next characters you want to see the Predator go up against, I went with Cyclops. Anyone else you want to throw in there?
So I was going to ask what you thought about Predator versus RoboCop.
That'd be I think it'd be a decent fight, but at the end of the day, I think Predator's too quick, because RoboCop moves very, he is a bit of a robot, so he moves a lot slower than the Predator would.
Yeah, he's very tough. It would be hard to kill him. Like, you would have to almost dismantle him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
I think the Predator has the patience to dismantle him, though.
Oh, yes. They like to toy and play with their prey as they go along, hunting them and destroying them, and then rip them apart so much so that they tear out their spines and skeletons, because you see that on the Predator posters, and you've seen it in the comic books. And the Predator triple feature that I have on my Blu-ray set, on the cover, it's the Predator holding a skull and the spine. So clearly, he's got patience.
Isn't that crazy that they can get away with that?
Well, back in the days, those movies were rated R, and they had to be.
Right.
And the comic books, I know the comic books have a, what is it called? Like a comic book code authority, whatever it's called. If you're going to rate the Predator comics, they would probably most likely be rated M for mature.
Right.
As they say in video game terminology. Whether it's rated E for everyone, rated T for teen, or it's rated M for mature.
I think for a lot of people, like, the first Predator movie was like one of the first R-rated movies that people, like, they actually got to see, they actually got to watch. Yeah.
Back in 1987, if I remember correctly, the first Predator movie came out. And that was 3 years after the Terminator came out.
Yeah, I mean, I'd never seen that much blood in a movie before I saw that.
It was something else. I will say that.
The scene where he ripped all the skin off of that guy and he was just like hanging up. I was like, oh boy, this is not Power Rangers.
Oh, it's that. No. Power Rangers is the cheesy, mostly family friendly. I mean, they rated it on television back in the day. It was a TV Y7FV for fantasy violence.
Right.
So I'm like, yeah, I guess it is fantasy violence, because there's no blood really, and if there is, it's monster goo. So that's you can still stick within a certain parameters of your ratings to make sure to get as many kids or teenagers to tune into your programming as you can. But as far as who we could potentially see the Predator go up against next, I should say. Let's see. I was thinking of some Marvel characters, some DC characters. We went a little bit sci-fi, a little bit. Let's think here. Not sure if this would. Well, you know what? Maybe it would work. I don't know, because they're bred for war. They have these skill set. Why not Klingons? Why not a Klingon versus Predator from Star Trek?
So that would be interesting because they actually have very, very similar kind of philosophies on life, right?
Mm-hmm.
They live to fight.
That is very true. So a Klingon goes up against the Predator. That would be a heck of a fight, wouldn't it?
Do you have a specific, like, would you like to see him go up against Worf?
I would, yeah, I'm okay with that. I actually just finally sat down and watched a bunch of Star Trek movies for the first time. So now I understand, certain characters and certain motivations. And now, granted, I know you would get a better understanding if I had watched the TV series, which I'm going to get to somewhere down the line. That is my plan, because now that I've seen the movies, I am a Star Trek fan now. So I am more than happy to watch TNG, Voyager, Deep Space Nine, Enterprise, most of the Star Trek stuff. I'm more than happy to sit down and watch because I enjoyed a few of the films, not all of them, but I did enjoy enough of them to say, I want to see more of this world. I enjoy this. Let's see what else is out there.
Yeah, they're good movies.
Yeah, and if I had to name my favorite one is Star Trek First Contact.
Okay.
With Picard and his crew going up against the Borg. Resistance is futile.
So are you more into the Next Generation than?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, between the two, because those movies were primarily set between the TOS and the TNG cast. And then obviously you had the rebooted series from J.J. Abrams, but that was just a reboot of the original characters with Kirk and Spock. But of the original films, I'm more of a TNG fan. So that's why I love Picard and I love Patrick Stewart so much. He's such a great actor.
He is.
Such a great actor. So yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing either a standard Klingon or Worf, because Worf was, man, he's a heck of a character in those movies.
He's great.
Mm-hmm.
Good actor too. The guy who plays him. So
yes, Michael Dorn. Yeah,
Michael Dorn.
I hope to meet him one day.
That could probably happen.
Yeah, hope to meet him as well as some other members of the TNG cast. I have met Geordie LaForge, but the reason I met Geordie LaForge was because I like LeVar Burton from Reading Rainbow. So I had him sign my Reading Rainbow book when I was a kid. I still have it, and I had him sign it. It was great. It was a great meet and greet between LeVar Burton and myself. That was a lot of fun. But if I saw LeVar Burton now, I would definitely ask him, what was it like making First Contact? Because that's my favorite Star Trek movie. Pick his brain about that. That'd be kind of fun.
That's kind of what my wife did when she met LeVar Burton. She went up and she was wearing a Reading Rainbow t-shirt.
Nice.
She kind of gushed about Reading Rainbow.
Yes.
I wonder what percentage of people who meet him at this comic convention are going up there for Reading Rainbow as opposed to Star Trek. Probably not a lot.
Yeah, you're probably right. But on the banner that he was at, specifically at the convention I was at, his banner had Reading Rainbow. I mean, it had both Star Trek and Reading Rainbow all over it. So people did come up and talk. I'm assuming a few of them came up to talk about Reading Rainbow, but I think majority of them, yes, were there to talk about TNG. And also, when you have more than one cast member from TNG,
right,
you're going to get more questions about TNG than you would Reading Rainbow. But that's okay because LeVar's used to it.
Do you remember the episode of Reading Rainbow where they went and visited the Star Trek Enterprise?
My friend and I were talking about that last night, and she brought that up to me, and I thought, I have not seen that episode. And then I Googled it. It's on YouTube. I'm going to watch it later.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. There's a bunch of episodes of Reading Rainbow on YouTube. So if you just go to YouTube, type in whatever your favorite episode was that discusses a certain, thing or a certain book. I typed in TNG, and it was there. And I was like, okay, now I got something I got to watch this weekend.
That's my favorite episode of Reading Rainbow.
And she stated that was her favorite episode of Reading Rainbow. So there you go. You and my friend are even.
Yeah. So by the way, I don't think LeVar Burton would fare very well against Predator.
No, Geordie LaForge is no. That's why earlier on we were talking about Klingons.
Right.
Which would be a better fit, I think.
So I have one last thing on here, and this is actually something that I thought of while we were talking.
Sure.
And I don't know if you think that this is unfair because there's 4 of them. How do you feel about Predator versus Ninja Turtles?
Oh man, another one of my favorite properties when I was growing up. I mean, it still is to this day. I mean, I love the original movies. Don't get me wrong, the live action ones. Oh, I think it would be cool, but I mean, the four turtles against the Predator, their odds of survival are much better if the four of them work together as one cohesive unit as a team. But if I had to do Predator versus a Ninja Turtle, I have to go with Raphael.
You think Raphael would be the survivor?
I think so. The guy's he's a teenager with attitude. So, he's got a gruff McGruff attitude. I'd like to see what Raphael would do against Predator by himself. But if you did put the four of them together against Predator, that would be even more fun to watch.
Yeah. So if you put all four turtles up against the Predator, how many of the turtles do you think would survive?
Two of them. Okay. I think two of them would survive. The two I think that would be able to survive this potential battle with the Predator. I'm going with Raphael because he's got the attitude. He doesn't, when he goes up against the Predator, I can guarantee you, he's not going to lose the Psy like he did in the first film. I lost the Psy. Then it is cold. No, I can get it back. Raphael, let it go. Sorry, that's my Ninja Turtles quotes coming out. But
is Raphael your favorite Ninja Turtle?
No, actually, my favorite Ninja Turtle is Leonardo.
Oh, okay, interesting.
With the swords, because I like swords, so I'm going with swords. I mean, don't get me wrong, Raphael has swords too, but they're size, so they're smaller. But when he's twirling them, and then he's like, he's like ready to fight. I'm like, you know what, Raphael, you're inching ever so close to be my favorite Ninja Turtle, but I think Leo just beats you out. But yeah, I think Raphael and Leo would survive the fight at the end of the day if two turtles were to die. It would be the other two, Donatello and Michelangelo.
I think you're right. I think Michelangelo would be the first one out, and then Donatello.
Yeah, because I remember growing up on the original animated series, and I remember watching all the live-action movies, and then Michael Bay had a poor attempt at rebooting it, which did not work out very well. I mean, honestly, I did like the first one of that rebooted franchise. I thought it was all right. It had potential. And then I go in to see Out of the Shadows, and I walk out of the theater, and I'm thinking, that's one of the biggest piles of dumpster fire garbage I've ever seen. So terrible. I wanted my money back. It's so bad.
It's been so long since I've seen those, and they're kind of forgettable movies to begin with. But
the reboots or all of them in general?
No, the reboots.
Yeah, the reboots they never really happened. I was okay with the first one, and the second one came out, and I thought, this is a dumpster fire. But good matchups, good characters to go up against the Predator. Really like that. And we talked earlier on, Willow, you brought up Lara Croft Tomb Raider. That would be a heck of a fight. Well, that is going to do it as far as Predator versus goes. We want to take this opportunity to thank all of you for tuning in. If you have any thoughts about this afterwards, drop them in the comments section. We'd love to hear about it. And also, Grant, you just started something. A new project of yours has come to light. It is a Kickstarter campaign that you have that's going on. And I'm going to take this opportunity to let our viewers in on exactly what this is. And here we have it, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Kickstarter. So, Grant, I'm going to turn the floor over to you. Tell us what is going on with this new project of yours.
Yeah, I was hoping it would get funded while we were sitting here. We're only about $150 away from getting funded. As we were talking about before the show, it just got picked as a project we love by Kickstarter, which is pretty cool. I mean, this is my first Kickstarter, and I've already gotten that. I mean, there are a lot of people who've done multiple Kickstarters, and they haven't gotten that yet. It's the story of a 13-year-old girl named Hazel, which is the girl here. I don't know why I pointed to my screen. I mean, it's not like you guys can see that. Hazel, yeah, there you go. The girl with the green stripe in her hair. She finds out that her cat is the reincarnation of an 8th century wizard.
Oh.
They have simultaneous visions of a dragon awakening after a 1,000-year nap. And Mooney gets the idea to go after the reincarnation of the mighty dragon slayer Beowulf. Mm-hmm. As you can see, Beowulf is the guy sitting here on the lazy boy. The problem is Beowulf has been reincarnated as a lazy slacker who honestly would rather be sitting around drinking beer, watching TV than fighting dragons. So basically the plot of this story is Hazel and Mooney trying to get Beowulf back into shape so that he can go up against this dragon.
Ah, okay. Okay. Well, that is definitely great. We wish you the best of luck with this new Kickstarter that just started this week. I took the liberty. There is a link to the Kickstarter in the comments section of this video. right now. And then when you go back and watch the replay, it'll be there in the comments section on our Facebook page, as well as our YouTube channel underneath this video with the Predator versus that we just had our discussion here between Grant and myself. So we want to take this opportunity to say thank you to one and all for tuning in tonight. Grant, aside from this Kickstarter, where can everyone find you online and everything you have coming up later down the line?
Look for Grant Lankard on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I thought your next question was going to be who I think would win in a fight between Beowulf and Predator.
If you would like to answer that question, go right ahead.
Well, at least at the beginning of the story, I think the Predator would probably wipe the floor with him. Maybe once he bulks up a little bit and learns how to use a sword a little bit, maybe he could put a little bit of competition. But I mean, I think the Predator would probably win.
All right. Sounds like a heck of a battle. If anyone has thoughts on that, let us know. In the meantime, you can find me and everything we're doing here at Nerd Culture, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at It's Nerd Culture. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to our YouTube channel, do all that stuff. New videos are dropping each and every week. And also, don't miss all new episodes of And I Quote. They go live every Saturday at 12 p.m. EST. Our guest this week is going to be Connor Bartel, comic writer, and you are not going to want to miss that. It's going to be a lot of fun. And also, Battle of the Nerds for this weekend is going to drop live Sunday, 8 p.m. EST. It's going to be a great matchup, great random trivia category. But like I said before, like, comment, and subscribe. Click on that notification bell so you'll be notified when new videos go up and when we go live next. In the meantime, stay healthy, stay strong, stay safe, and watch the Predator movie.
Thank you so much for having me.